Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am excited to be filming the third video and Merry Christmas. In the previous video, I shared some of the negative experiences I had at work this year, and one of the things I shared was the power of emotional regulation. I received a few DMs and I think a couple of comments. A few people have reached out to me to share some strategies in regulating emotion and embracing your emotional power. So let's go in depth. Let's get into it. Firstly, we need to understand the importance of emotional intelligence. We need to understand that emotional intelligence is extremely important. It is very key for you to be able to navigate different social aspects of your life, but also to be able to set boundaries and protect your space. When I had my soul-crushing experience, it was the first time I really took that initiative and made that conscious decision that I actually want to learn to be in control of my emotions. I don't just want to be intelligent or powerful in some areas of my life. Actually, I want to be in control and have that grounded discipline that applies to every aspect of my life. So I decided to learn, to research, and lucky for me, because I had worked in a special needs school, there were some resources that we taught the kids that I sort of remembered, and I tapped into that. And I studied psychology as well, so I was also able to gain some knowledge from that, and then most of it was research. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be sharing some of these resources which I actually wrote in my private journal. I'm literally sharing my journal with everyone right now. I feel quite vulnerable. First, we need to understand emotional intelligence. I have learned that there are 5 features to emotional intelligence: self-awareness, empathy, motivation, social skills, and self-regulation. So we would be focusing on self-regulation for the purpose of this video. Before we go any further, I just wanted to say that learning to embrace and own your emotion takes a lot of patience. Extend patience and love to yourself like you would to a child. This process, you can also call it a type of inner child healing, because when you think about it, these are skills that we should have learned as children that perhaps we didn't learn or we didn't learn in depth. Show yourself patience and love like you would to a child as you embark on this journey. Don't be too hard on yourself. Another thing I want to say is that we need to remember that our emotions are actually created for positive things. They trigger our brain. Emotions have a reason. You know, some people describe emotions as energy in motion. When you're angry, it is telling your brain that you are feeling offended. When you're happy, it is telling your brain that there's a positive experience that you are having right now. So we need to understand that our emotions are actually there to help us. So this is where we now need to step it to control your emotional self and tell it how far it needs to go. A disclaimer: I am not a psychologist. This is not a therapy session. This is just me sharing the experiences that I've learned. Okay, with all that said, let's get into the juicy parts. Number 1, we need to feel our emotions. And I know this sounds a bit counterintuitive, like I feel my emotions, but do you feel your emotions, or do you feel that your emotions are present? They are two different things. So when you feel that your emotions are present, you feel that you are angry, you feel that you are happy. But when you're actually taking the time to feel the emotion and embrace the emotion, you can feel I am happy, and you are expressing that happiness. You are taking in the joy of the present to express that happiness and really embrace and own in on that happiness. When you are angry, are you feeling I am angry, I don't want to feel angry, I'm going to do something to distract myself? Or are you feeling I am angry, why am I angry? What can I do to help me ease the anger while I focus on the reason I was angry in the first place? You see that there are 2 things. So 1, you can feel the presence of your emotions, or 2, you can actually take an introspective lens to embrace your emotion and understand what your emotions are trying to tell you. So let me quickly share a snippet from my journal that might really hit the nail on the point I'm trying to make. I wrote, my emotions are so big that sometimes feeling it scares me. But if me, the owner of the emotion, doesn't want to feel it, how much more my loved ones? When I wrote that, I realized that every time I am upset, I'm always calling my friends or my family rather than actually taking the time to sit with my emotions and explore what these emotions are trying to tell me. And at some point, I started to feel like they wouldn't say I'm bugging them, like they're always there for me. But I started to feel like I need to reach a stage of emotional independence. I can't keep calling my loved ones every time. I need to be able to control my own emotions. You know, when I have children and they do something to upset me, am I going to run to my husband and be like, your children are annoying me? Or am I going to actually embrace the emotion I am feeling and even extend the hand to let my children in? You know, feeling your emotions is the first step to being able to self-regulate, because when you can feel and accept that this is how I am feeling right now, then you can actually do something about it. But if you're fighting against it, the emotions will either keep bubbling up, or you would be channeling it the wrong way. Earlier I mentioned distraction technique. Distraction technique can be a good thing. It depends on how it is used and how often it is used. I also learned this concept of movement when I was working in the special ed school. So it's very useful. Remember, we think of our emotions like energy in motion. So you're actually moving and it gives your nervous system the time to chill, to relax, and then it helps you take that introspective lens to understand how you're feeling, why you're feeling, and what you can do about the way you feel. So talking about introspective lens, the number 3 tip that I have is journaling. So it's my own introspective lens. You can sit down in front of your mirror and talk to yourself, or or you can journal, or you can speak into your phone like a voice note to yourself, just ranting. But essentially what you are trying to do is communicate how you feel so you can let it go, let it out of your system. Again, like I said, it's a conscious effort. It's not an easy thing, but the more you do it, the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. You build it up. So I know that it can be quite tedious or tasking to start journaling, and you're thinking, oh, I'd rather just sit down and watch a movie and, you know, let it go. You can do that, but I don't think you would attain the same level of emotional intelligence that you are trying to if you journaled or spoke about your feelings. If you really want to embark on this journey of embracing your divine power and embracing the power of emotional control, then you have to make the conscious effort. Nothing comes easy. I journal and then I call a friend if I'm still feeling a bit higgy about the situation. So it's quite different to what I used to do. So previously, I'm upset, calling my friend. But now it's more like, okay, I'm feeling upset. Why am I feeling upset? What has made me upset? What can I do to make myself feel better? I'm feeling physically. Remember that your emotions also manifest in your physical body. So physically, I am hot, I am shaky. Okay, so I'm going to move my body to help regulate my nervous system. Okay, now that is done, let me journal what about the situation made me upset, so that next time I can come in with a bit more control to not let someone else's action affect me so badly. Yeah. And then if after all that I am still feeling a bit then I call a friend. There's actually nothing wrong with speaking to your friends about situation, but I'm just saying that there's power in self-regulating and actually taking the time first to explore your emotions before you call your friend. But sometimes we tend to look at things from our own cognitive lens, our own bias, and if you regulate your emotion, then maybe that might help you separate your perception of the situation from the facts of the situation. And then when you speak to your friend about it, you can be more factual about the situation rather than shading the situation with your own bias. Because remember that our friends and our loved ones would always confirm our bias for us. It's a subconscious thing. Same way we would always confirm their bias for them. It's a subconscious thing. It's not something we tend to do on a conscious level. Another tip that you can use is practicing positive distraction. So I've touched a bit on this. Positive distraction does not necessarily have to be movement. It can also be taking on a hobby like painting. There's a lot of canvas painting that you can easily get on Amazon that makes painting as a hobby much easier now. And You can also practice patient-centric sports. So a sport that requires patience, time and dedication. And this one is very useful because you are building up that skill for whenever you are in an emotional situation, rather than the other ones which are to help you when you are in a situation. This one is more like just building up the skills and keeping up the skills in your back pocket for when you need it. Having a patient-centric sport that you do once or twice a week would really help you, not just for your emotions but even for your mental health as well, and of course for your physical body. And that also ties into the motivation feature of emotional intelligence, because you have something that you are looking forward to every week. My final tip would be to get comfortable with cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is when your expectation is different from reality. It can be quite frustrating when what you expected is different from the outcome or is different from what's happened. But actually getting comfortable that, you know what, I'm not the center of the universe. Life wouldn't always go my own way. People have different perception on how they choose to approach things. So the same way my perception is spilling into the situation is the same way someone else's perception is spilling into the situation. And if you want things to go your own way and the other person wants things to go their own way and person C wants things to go their own way, we would all just keep headbutting and clashing. But when you actually make space and you come with empathy, understanding the other person's point of view and accepting that things will not always go how you expect, and that's okay too. It can be a very powerful tool to helping you navigate your emotional intelligence. I have shared the top 5 tips that have helped me on my journey of emotional intelligence, and I hope that it really helps you too. Please let me know in the comments if you found it helpful, or if you would like me to share more tips on different areas of divine power. And if you've enjoyed my video, I would appreciate if you would drop me a like and share with as many friends as possible. I am trying to get to 1K subscribers by January, and I can only do this with the help of the community. Thank you all for watching. Until next video, bye.